We're still at 86% of people who say it's not necessary. I really want to hear from you about why you feel that way. Please go over to Tahisha's Facebook page and comment on there. We're going to read those, like she said, coming up at 4:30.
Well, now let's get you caught up with your 4 to 5 roundup today. And we start with the Greensboro firefighters testing positive for coronavirus. The department confirms 8 firefighters tested positive from 5 different fire stations. All are now self-isolating at home. Now, anyone who came into contact with those firefighters is being notified and also isolating. Officials say they caught it early and there's no large threat to the public. Well, a big boost for Triad food pantries. Raytheon Technologies donated $5 million to Feeding America food banks, and that includes Second Harvest Food Bank of Northwest North Carolina. The money will be used to help feed those in need during the pandemic as the demand for help to keep food on the table continues. Some food bank locations say they're seeing 4 times as many people as they normally would, all in need of food. Netflix is also announcing a big donation, this one to historically black colleges. The streaming service's CEO, Reed Hastings, is donating $120 million towards student scholarships, and a good chunk of that money will go to schools. Netflix CEO says his donation comes at a time when people are looking for ways to, quote, solve racism. He says supporting education at historically black colleges is one way to do so. And the next time you head to our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., you may see the work of a Triad artist. Jenna Rice painted the mural of George Floyd that was on Crafted's boarded up windows in downtown. The mural is now down, but it will eventually head to the National Museum of African American History and Culture. That's a Smithsonian museum. Right now, because of the pandemic, the museum is holding off on any shipping or receiving, so the mural will sit in storage for a few weeks before it makes its way to the Capitol. Well, Tim, I sit right beside my window here, and I'm starting to see a little bit of sun peeking out. It's really good for my natural lighting in my home studio.
Yeah, that's true. It's good for my mood too, Maddie. I think a lot of folks have their mood tied to the weather a little bit. And, you know, the clouds are breaking up right now. We have some sunshine, not everywhere, but some places being treated to that. You can see that on our Greensboro weather camera. Temperature has warmed up too. We're up to 68 degrees. Keep in mind, yesterday we never got out of the 50s. We still haven't been above 70 since back on the weekend. Pretty amazing, isn't it? There are your local temperatures currently across the area, of course, warming up because we haven't had a steady rain today, and also the clouds are not quite as thick either. The local radar pretty quiet right now, to be honest. Most of the rain since the mid-morning hours has been north of the Virginia border. So for us, we're just kind of on a mostly cloudy day instead of a super wet day. And really, this is a big weather system that's not done with us yet. It's still spiraling overhead. Coming up, we'll talk more about what this image means, but it basically shows a low pressure area still sitting over North Carolina. So some scattered showers are still possible tonight and into the next couple of days, but the washout weather is done. That is over with for us. So here's Futurecast overnight. Again, a scattered shower or two, more likely near the Virginia border. Going into tomorrow, still mostly cloudy, but there will be times of sunshine as well, and scattered showers and summertime storms will pop up during the afternoon. It's a similar story for your Friday. More typical for summertime weather, but still cool for this time of year. You know, tomorrow we'll get back in the 70s. We're gonna run 76 for your high on Thursday. Keep in mind the average high is 86 degrees. Coming up, we'll talk about that 7-day forecast and look at your Father's Day weekend.
Still ahead, a graduating senior is gearing up to head to Duke University in the fall, but this school holds a deeper meaning for Katie Price and her family. Coming up, we'll see how Duke has been a part of her life long before she was even born. That's next.
break, we had a couple of people in the comments on Facebook message me and on our feed say they couldn't vote. Because it didn't change at all during the story either.
Welcome back. The class of 2020 has certainly gone through an unprecedented year, but one member of the graduating class of Northern Guilford High School has a story like no other. Graduation is just the beginning of Katie Price fulfilling a plan that's been there for her all along. Life isn't always what you think it's going to be. For Katie Price, spending her final weeks of high school at home and a drive-through graduation ceremony were certainly unexpected.
So we're all like, oh yeah, we're graduating tomorrow. It doesn't feel like we're graduating tomorrow.
But the next chapter of Katie's life, as her mom Mary puts it,
it's poetic. It just feels like everything fell into place.
Katie is going to Duke University in the fall to study biomedical engineering. She received the Castle Saperstein Trinity Scholarship, a full ride.
Kind of always in my dream school, so it's kind of great that I finally get to go there. It's fantastic.
Duke has been a part of Katie's life long before she was born. Her parents connected over Duke basketball.
We both had tickets to a Duke game that night, and we would have never paid attention to each other had that game not happened. She wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Duke.
But basketball isn't the main reason that the Price family loves the school.
Duke gave us 20 years of Bill that we wouldn't have had.
Katie's dad, Bill, spent a lot of time at Duke Hospital after his kidneys failed in the late 90s. In 2017, he passed away there.
Duke had already saved his life a few times, and then when he passed away there, it was kind of like, am I sure that I want to go there? And then we kept getting signs from him that Duke was kind of the place, and so here we are.
One of those signs appeared to Katie on a tour of the new biomedical engineering building on campus when she saw the room where her dad took his last breath.
Right above it is where we could look up and see that circle in the ICU rooms. So it was kind of magical that that showed up right when I was finally teetering on that edge. I wasn't sure.
Life isn't always what you think it's going to be. But Katie says she's had some help navigating her future, thanks to her dad. And you heard Katie say she plans to study bioengineering while at Duke. Now, she says she wanted to study that because throughout her dad's illnesses, she noticed things that could be fixed to make his quality of life better, and she hopes that she can be a part of innovating those improvements, Ben.
You know, she's a really strong woman to be doing this. I'm not sure that I could go to school where my dad died, and I love that she's putting that strength to putting a positive change in the world.
Right, absolutely. You know, she said when she first went on the tour at Duke, she wasn't so sure about it. She didn't know if she could be there every day and deal with those memories. But once she saw her dad's ICU room when she was in the building that she might be innovating these treatments in, she said she knew that was a sign from him and that he'll always be able to be with her when she's on campus. Really special.
She's one of several promising seniors across the triad. Tahisha Moyes is looking at some more.
Yeah, you're right, Ben. There are a lot of great graduates here in the class of 2020. It's why we do what we call our senior shout-outs, where we recognize some of them every day on the 4 to 5 and either our other newscasts as well, because, you know, their graduation has been upended this year. So let's take a look at some of our graduates for the class of 2020 today, starting with Ashlyn Lewis. She graduated from Central Davidson with a 4.0 GPA. She also graduated with an associate's degree in business during her time in high school. She plans to go to law school one day with the hopes of becoming a district attorney. Great way to make a change in your community. Well, Trey Thurman graduated from STEM Early College at North Carolina A&T. He was student council president and was on the Superintendent Advisory Council. He will attend UNC Chapel Hill as a Chancellor Science Scholar and plans to major in biomedical engineering. And how about this story? Jamila graduated from Winston-Salem State University this year with a family nurse practitioner master's degree. The wife and mother of two said she couldn't have done it without the support of her family. She's now looking forward to helping care for those in need around her community. If you would like to share your senior shout-outs with us, just find this submission form on our website. Submit photos of the senior, but we're asking that you stay clear of professional photos. Be sure to leave a message about their accomplishments, and we'll keep sharing them all month long. 4 to 5 will continue when we come back.
All right, I am talking about, why would someone lie about somebody else? Interesting ideas behind that. You got me, you got me? All right, perfect. Thank you.
So all this rainy weather had me flipping through the TV yesterday, and I got stuck, I hate to admit, on some housewives and reality TV. What I found, Blanca Cobb, is that these women would lie about each other and say things that just clearly weren't true. So I wanted to know from you, our body language and psychology expert here, why do people lie about someone else?
They get caught up in their anger and their emotion. So if someone doesn't like you, or they're mad at you, or they want to get back at you, or they want to continue to play the victim, then they will tell lies. So what happens is you would think that if there's any way for the truth to come out, that would be a deterrent, but it isn't. It's because of these emotions that they overcome logic and common sense.
So it's not to like get back at you or anything like that. It's just they're feeling
Absolutely.
emotional.
They are feeling emotional, but part of the reason they're emotional is because they do want to get back at you. Maybe you hurt them in some way. You did something that they didn't like, and that is a way to get back at you, is to tell somebody something that isn't true. Look, if they can get more people on their side, then they can continue to play the victim, right? If they can get other people to hate you.
Okay, you and I, we've never done anything to make anyone mad, so they won't be upset and lying about us. But how do we know if someone is lying to us about someone else? What are the telltale signs?
Well, that's a very good question. A lot of times people get hung up on if there's like a Pinocchio effect, if you will. As you know, Pinocchio, his nose grew whenever he told a lie, but that isn't what happens in real life, because there isn't just one universal sign of lying. You really have to pay attention to what somebody is saying and what they're not saying. Are there inconsistencies in what they're saying? Is there a motive for them to lie? Does it even make sense? Sometimes it doesn't. And when you're getting these inconsistency, or there can even be a discrepancy in what somebody is saying versus what they're showing in their body language, then that lets you know that there's possibly something more to that story. And that's where you're going to want to ask some questions.
So it's not true, you don't watch the eyes to see if they're lying or anything like that. It's just about their overall character.
You bring up a good point, and for some people, it is about the lies. But if you're only going to say, okay, if I'm looking at somebody and they're looking at me, but I ask them a question and they look away, that means they're lying. You're going to end up in a lot of trouble and a lot of hot water, because that isn't necessarily true. That can be true for some people, but the big thing is to get somebody's baseline. How is it they typically respond? How is it that they typically act? How is it that they typically answer questions? That's going to give you more information than just relying on eyes, if you will.
Thanks so much, Blanca. Some good advice to take away from this. We will be right back.
I'll tell you what improvement compared to this time yesterday. Right now we're sitting in the upper 60s, close to 70 degrees, and the sun is peeking out. Now we're not done with rain for the week, but from here on out it should be scattered and without any washouts. In fact, today we've had very little rain in most of our neck of the woods. The heaviest has been just to our north into southern Virginia. We still stick out like a sore thumb on the temperature map though. Notice the triad, very cool, still courtesy of that big upper level low pressure system spinning overhead. As I mentioned, the rain is not as intense today and it is to our north right now in Virginia, but that same system still swirling overhead will keep that chance of rain in place over the next couple of days. The big bullseye for rain today was really near Roanoke, Virginia. They've had big flooding problems there. Here's what you need to know the next couple of days. Some scattered downpours still possible each afternoon, but by and large your days are not washed out. Here's the 7-day forecast. We're warming up each day, chance of rain going down as we head into the weekend.
Taking center stage virtually, Creative Greensboro is getting creative, that's appropriate, with how they're offering their summer theater camps this year.
Sessions will be held via Zoom, which isn't ideal, of course, but they say it's a great way to keep the community engaged at the theater.
It started when we got the idea to do a virtual production of Macbeth, and everybody was pleased with it. So when we talked about summer camp and realized we couldn't do the in-person summer camps as we've done for years, we thought since Macbeth worked, we could probably do a summer camp that worked. We felt as an organization that we owed it to our community to provide some theater for them in any way possible. And of course, the Zoom is not ideal, but it gives the kids exposure to theater. They learn acting techniques. They stay involved in it. We can do theater anywhere, in any form. It doesn't have to be with an audience in a big auditorium. It can be done in many, many ways, and that's what I think we've discovered, is that kids who want theater should get theater, and we have to do it this way for now, but we will do it this way for now because we want the kids to continue to have the drama experience that they expect.
Pretty cool. Hey, after the break, we're going to take a crack at explaining why you've been hearing all those fireworks every night. That's next.
Hello, mic check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Hey, mic check, see if you can, my neighbor is doing a lot of noisy things up here, so I don't know if you'll be able to hear him or her, but hopefully not. Okay, good.
We can, you know, the weather gnome is now on my bookshelf. I don't know if you can see him, but there he is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Tim, you know, when I was young, my family and I would take a gnome on vacation with us and put him in every picture. So now we go back and look through the pictures and it's like, where's the gnome?
Welcome to your 4 to 5. I'm Tahisha Moyes, joined alongside Maddie Gardner and Ben Briscoe. Here on the 4 to 5, we are here to inform you, make you feel connected, and let you into our world.
And we want your opinion about the top news of the day, starting with those fireworks everyone keeps hearing at night. And a story from next door, neighbors are still exploding with curiosity on the app about all those fireworks people are shooting off around the Triad. We first told you Monday about almost 400 complaints to police.
Kids, yes, they are absolutely terrified because, again, in their mind, they hear that sound, they're thinking it's guns, not fireworks.
Now we're learning about similar issues in LA, Baltimore, Connecticut, Boston, New York City, and more. Across the nation, most places have come to the same conclusion why this is happening. I think people are just bored. Here's one more possibility. The fireworks business has gone from boom to bust with coronavirus. At pyro shows, for example, sales are down almost 80%.
Well, it's been extreme. A lot of communities have had to cancel their events, therefore they cancel their fireworks.
That means fireworks companies are selling their products to the public at deep discounts, lots of sales. If you're buying those deals, be careful. First, you should know North Carolina has some of the toughest restrictions in the nation. The kind that go up in the air and explode are illegal for personal use. Anyone caught using them could be fined up to $500 because they're just that dangerous. And even the ones on the ground can cause damage. Last year, smoldering fireworks sent this Winston-Salem home up in flames.
They're still hot, so they can cause a fire. It's important to submerge them in water and to leave them away from other combustibles.
Looking ahead to WFMY News 2 at 6, we're going to show you an easy trick to tell if you're hearing fireworks or gunshots. By the way, thanks to everyone who sent me this great story idea through the Nextdoor app. If there's something going on in your neighborhood, you can also message me on the app. All you have to do is search for Ben Briscoe, WFMY.
All right, now to your 4 to 5 roundup. We start in Atlanta, where prosecutors say 2 police officers involved in a deadly shooting outside Wendy's will face charges. Rayshard Brooks died Friday after being shot during an arrest for suspicion of DUI. Prosecutors reviewed 8 videos from the shooting and say Brooks never presented himself as a threat. Officer Garrett Rolfe was fired less than 24 hours after the shooting, and Officer Devin Brosnan was put on leave. Rolfe now faces 11 charges, including felony murder. Brosnan faces 3 charges, including assault, and is now cooperating as a state's witness. Back here in the Triad, the Winston-Salem Open will not happen this August as originally scheduled. It comes as tennis officials make scheduling changes because of the coronavirus. The USTA moved the Western and Southern Open to the week before the U.S. Open. So to make this happen, the Winston-Salem Open had to forego its week. The Winston-Salem Open will go on next year in late August in 2021. And a growing number of U.S. airlines are temporarily suspending their in-flight alcohol service. They say it's a response to COVID-19 and wanting to limit interaction between the crews and passengers. American Airlines won't sell alcohol to passengers in the main cabin for domestic flights, and Delta says alcohol sales are banned on all of its domestic flights and international flights to Mexico, Canada, and the Caribbean, and also Central America, regardless of seating class. How would you like to play catch at the BB&T ballpark? The Winston-Salem Dash is hosting a Play Catch on the Field event on Saturday, June 27th. Pairs can sign up for a 1-hour time slot at either 10 a.m., 11 a.m., 5 p.m., or 6 p.m. It is free, but you do have to sign up in advance. You can do that by contacting Ayla Acosta at ayla.acosta@ws-dash.com. Participants will be encouraged to bring their own gloves and baseballs, but Dash staff will provide baseballs and sanitize them between uses as well.
Well, a big bright thing has popped up in the Triad sky. It's called the sun, and we have it in parts of the area at least. We're seeing just scattered cloud cover right now and hardly any rain, a far cry from where we were the last couple of days. Temperatures have warmed up accordingly too. We're into the upper 60s now, and you'll notice a little bit of that mostly cloudy sky still over High Point where you have reached 70 degrees. Local temperatures right now generally in the mid to upper 60s, a couple of 70s on the board. Keep in mind our average high is 86 degrees for today, so another cool one for us. All the rain at the moment is really north of the Virginia border. Now, some mist or drizzle, I'm sure, is still happening in many parts of the Piedmont right now, but the same storm that's been swirling overhead, it's drifted a little bit to the north. So as we were mentioning yesterday, that's why we have the chance to see some sun in pockets this afternoon. Now, going forward, there will still be rain, but we're done with the washout weather. Scattered downpours, maybe even a thunderstorm are possible as we go through tonight and into tomorrow, but it's mainly the afternoons and evenings that will have the rain chance. More typical for summertime, where you're dry in the morning and in the afternoon you kind of have to keep an eye to the sky. That's the way tomorrow is. The best chance to see a scattered storm or shower will be in the second half of the day, much like you would expect for June. Highs will be in the 70s. Coming up, we'll talk about that hotter Father's Day weekend.
Well, let's get back to our question of the day. Aunt Jemima announced today that they're going to rebrand the logo on their pancake and syrup products. So we want to hear from you. What do you think about this? You can weigh in right now on WFNY.com/vote now or use the free News 2 app. Let's take a look at where this all comes from. Quaker Oats says they're making the change as a way to promote racial equality and get rid of stereotypes in marketing. The Aunt Jemima logo has been used for 130 years.
And I wanted to get your thoughts in your own words on my Facebook page today. So I posed the question, starting a discussion, should marketing and branding change as we reflect on history, or should it stay the way it is? Let's get into some of the comments. Kent writes, honestly, changing the name doesn't change the flavor, so why be negative about it? Ultimately, how does that change affect your day-to-day life? If it doesn't, don't complain. Linda writes, change it, not the flavor. Babo writes, history has been written, you can't change it. Ronnie writes, stay the way it is, don't need to be changed at all. And Miss Keisha writes, folks are worried about the wrong stuff. Is changing the name/logo going to change anything for me and my Black community personally? No. And lastly, Mary Beeman writes, leave it alone. Overwhelmingly, most of the comments here on my Facebook page were saying that they would like it to just stay the way it is. We do value your opinion and chiming in on this conversation, so continue to do that in the WFNY News 2 live stream. You can also continue the conversation on my Facebook page.
The University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill may soon be changing some names too. See, back in May 2015, the board voted to freeze any conversation on renaming buildings, monuments, memorials, and landscapes on campus. The moratorium was supposed to last 16 years. But today, the Board of Trustees voted to lift that moratorium. They also said they will immediately study potential guidelines for renaming buildings. They hope to be able to draft a plan for how the process will go before the board meets again in July. Mecklenburg County Commissioners voted to declare racism a public health crisis. That vote comes nearly a month after protests broke out in the wake of George Floyd's death. In the proclamation, county officials said they believe racism can form the basis for a public health crisis, impacting the whole community. By voting and declaring it a crisis, commissioners will now be able to direct funding towards issues that disadvantage the minority community.
Well, now on to another big talker today. More and more research is being done on wearing face masks, and health officials say wearing one could be a big game changer in stopping the spread of coronavirus.
As we learn more about coronavirus and how it is spread, researchers have found one of the best ways to control an outbreak: face masks. Let's connect the dots. The latest study comes out of Texas A&M. A team of researchers found that not wearing a face mask dramatically increases your chance of being infected with COVID-19. The team looked at outbreaks in Wuhan, China, northern Italy, and New York City. They found that once face masks were mandated, it significantly reduced the rate of infection. So why do masks make such a difference? Researchers have found that aerosols, tiny droplets in the air carrying virus particles, are the main way coronavirus is being spread, not surface contacts. And those tiny droplets get into the air not just by coughing or sneezing, but normal talking as well. Researchers say those droplets can travel tens of feet and can stay in the atmosphere for tens of minutes. And all this research doesn't mean other methods of combating COVID-19 aren't important, like social distancing and contact tracing, but the study found for those methods to really make a difference, they have to be paired with a face mask.
So what is the right way to wear a face mask? We know many of you have questions about this. In fact, the top click story on WFNYnews2.com is my face mask inside out? So let's give you a little bit more information about this and a quick refresher. Your face mask should fit with no gaps, and you don't want to touch the mask even when you're wearing it. Use your ear loops to take it off. Don't just grab it by the front. Wash it or throw it out after you use it in public. And of course, stay home when you can. Wash your hands and social distance when you're out in public. Those are the best ways to keep yourself healthy.
All right, I'm happy to share with you all that I will be on a virtual panel this evening alongside some other great journalists here in the Triad. It will be an hour-long discussion called Press, Protests, and the Pandemic, the state of reporting in the Triad. I believe it will be a great way to get to know some of the journalists that cover your community. So if you would like to be a part of that conversation, the event starts at 7 o'clock tonight. Discussion will go from 7 to 8, and networking will be from 8 to 9. The talk will be streamed live on the Triad Association of Black Journalists YouTube channel. We hope to see you there virtually, of course. Stay with us. More of the 4 to 5 when we come back.
But while we wait to see if lawmakers will approve a second round of stimulus checks, many people are still waiting on their first one to arrive. It's one of the most frequently asked questions that our 2 Wants to Know team works to answer. So let's take a quick look at why you may have not gotten your first stimulus check just yet. First, you don't normally file taxes. You may not have gotten it because the IRS has your banking information wrong, or the post office couldn't deliver your check. You may also find that your payment was wrong. Now, some of these issues can be fixed by going to the IRS's website. We have a link to that page, plus more questions about your stimulus payment. All you have to do is go to WFMYnews2.com and click in the 2 Wants to Know section. In the meantime, there are ways to get your finances in order to survive the pandemic. WFMY's Tracy McCain spoke to our Debt Sucks expert.
Well, it's probably safe to say no one knew the coronavirus pandemic would force so many people out of work and for so long. It hit everyone in some way. The best thing you can do, though, moving forward is to be prepared, just in case something like this happens again. Money expert Janae Adams is joining me this morning. And Janae, this just in case could really happen.
Yeah, definitely should. It should be happening, hopefully, in the next couple of months. But for everyone watching, being prepared is going to get you in the best position to win financially. So I want to talk about what might be in the next bill and how you might take advantage of it with your money.
Yeah, so let's jump right into that, because everybody's talking about this second round of stimulus checks that we could have. Should we be banking on that?
Yeah, so the good thing is that both sides of the aisle have agreed that some type of stimulus needs to come again, some type of stimulus check. The amount is what they are, hooked up on. The number that's going around right now is $1,200 per person, including children, with a max of $6,000, which is different from the time before. So think about what, if that money could possibly come, what you can do with it. Could you pay off some debt that you may have, catch up on some bills, maybe even save that money? But those are the kind of questions you should be asking yourself.
All right, so what about small business owners? Because they've taken a big hit.
They definitely have. Small business owners have really been hurt during this time, and many unfortunately may go out of business. $600 billion has already came down from the federal government with the Paycheck Protection Program, but they're talking about even more money may be coming to small business owners. So if you're a small business owner or a nonprofit, now's the time to get your paperwork together in order to take advantage of what's left in the second round and what may come out in the future.
And so we should also start thinking about ways to pay down some of those bills.
Yes, definitely. And a lot of times right now, they have assistance in place. We have federal assistance as well as state assistance, mainly to help people stay in their houses, to keep the water flowing and electricity on. But what we do know in the future that they may extend those extensions in the next bill, just as North Carolina as a state has done, pushing it out 3 more weeks. No more evictions for 3 more weeks, as well as the utility extensions. But none of this is going to last forever. So now is the time to really be trying to catch up on some of those bills that you have put on hold, whether those extensions come out in the next bill or not.
All right, thanks, Janae. It's always better to be prepared. You can get more money help from Janae online. Just look in the Good Morning Show section of WFMYnews2.com.
If you're looking to cut costs while still planning a quick getaway, a viral Facebook post claims to offer free airfare. But with anything that seems too good to be true, you want to press pause before you start planning. Our Verify team looked into the post claiming to offer free Southwest flights.
This post, claiming to be from Southwest Airlines, offers free flights to 500 lucky customers who share and comment on the post. Is it true? The Verify team checked with Southwest Airlines and found it's false. This viral post has been around for years. It has the wrong account name and links to a third-party website, not Southwest. Don't share your information with this site.
Now, one way that you could save money on travel is a possible tax credit for vacations.
Yeah, President Donald Trump is reportedly in favor of this idea. It is being considered on Capitol Hill right now. Let me tell you a little bit about it here. It would work like this. It's a $4,000 tax credit. The money could be used to cover travel expenses in the U.S., like hotels, restaurants, even if you bought theme park tickets. It's seen as a way to help boost the struggling hospitality industry. Again, right now it is just an idea, but it has the support of groups like the U.S. Travel Association. We'll be right back.
Okay, am I still glitching? You know, I thought my internet was being weird because the Facebook stream was blurry on my computer. Okay. Okay. Okay, do I look any better? Mic check, 1, 2, 3. Oh, yay.
We are done with washouts. No more washouts this week, but there will still be occasionally some rain. Here's kind of how it works out. The morning's pretty much dry the next couple of days, but tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening, there will be some scattered downpours and maybe even a couple of thunderstorms that kind of roam around the area, so be prepared for that. We're in the 70s for Thursday. Come Friday, closer to 80 degrees, but the same kind of thing. Dry in the morning, scattered sunshine, and then a couple pop-up showers or a storm for the afternoon hours. Rain chances still pretty high considering those pop-ups, but again, this will not be all-day rain events. We are done with that, and we're getting close to done with the cooler weather too. You'll notice the big warm-up will be in the upper 80s by Father's Day, which, keep in mind, that's pretty normal. The average high is 85.
Well, maybe that better weather will help you smile more. You know, we normally like to give you some reasons to smile here on the 4 to 5, but this next story, it might make you frown a little bit. A new poll found that Americans are the unhappiest they've been in 50 years. And yes, the coronavirus pandemic was the reason for a good chunk of those responses. Now, I asked you about this on Facebook, about this poll, what you thought about it, if it was warranted or surprising. So let's take a look at what you had to say this afternoon. Dan Field said, I can't think of a more perfect storm of national events that have carried such burdensome worries. Yep, people are terribly worried about their families and the future of this nation. Mary McNeely Gann said, I think it's expected. It's been a tough year, but hopefully faith in God, family, and friend support will see them through to brighter days. Larry Miller said, when you have to cancel your vacation, cannot go out to eat where you love to go, or travel to places where there are restrictions, that gets depressing. But he goes on to say he has a pool to keep him happy and he's retired and thankful. John Scott says, I expected it. People can't do things like they used to do, and they're not happy about it. Thanks for weighing in today.
Still ahead tonight on WFMY News 2 at 5. Some business owners are unhappy too. See, breweries are open, but bars are not under Governor Roy Cooper's order. So why are there different rules for different businesses, and how could moving into phase 3 change it all? We answer those questions in about 10 minutes.
Hello, mic check 1 2 3. Am I glitchy? I was a little.
Hey, mic check 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10.
Hi there, hello, mic check 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3.
As the state anticipates Governor Cooper's plan for phase 3, some businesses are still navigating the procedures and processes for phase 2.
It is time for my 2 cents, way back towards the beginning of this pandemic.
Some places like Little Brother Brewing look completely normal, no boards. But if you look at other shops on,
It's time for my 2 cents. Way back when, at the beginning of this pandemic, which, by the way, seems like a lifetime ago, doesn't it? To be exact, on March 31st, I came on here and said we all have to do one thing that's productive during quarantine. For me, I set a goal of keeping up with my Spanish. Have I cracked open my Spanish textbook once? No. Then there was the goal of working out. At first I was into it, but as time has gone on, I've fallen off the wagon once or twice. Sometimes we have the best intentions, but can still come up flat. And what I've come to learn over these past few months is that everyone is on their own journey. So who am I to say that you need to be productive? If that's something you set for yourself, great. If not, that's fine too. We are collectively going through stressful and traumatic times in our lives. 2020 is one for the history books, and many of us are just trying to stay afloat. So I want to encourage you to give yourself some grace if you failed at something you set your mind to, and realize that if someone hasn't been productive, however you understand that to be, it's really not our business. Form your own opinion. That's just my 2 cents. That's your 4 to 5. WFMY News 2 at 5 starts right now. Greensboro fire officials say there is no threat to the public after 8 firefighters tested positive for COVID-19.
But it is a sign that coronavirus continues to hit our first responders. Greensboro Assistant Fire Chief Dwayne Church says the firefighters are from 5 different